Let us try to practice Chapter 4 Navigation of the book Ionic 6 Create Awesome Apps for iOS, Android, Desktop and Web, authored by Andreas Dorman. In this chapter, the author has shown us how to navigate in an app, how to provide various links inside an app. Here it is a completed app which I'm going to show you right now. So here you can see there's a menu, favorites, regions and two types. You click each one of them, you get something there. If you click on favorites, you get a list of city walk, on the trades and something. You click on them, you can request for a tour or you can go back, right? So you could see some of these options around, okay? So you can click back, you can click back again. So this is what is called navigation by the author. In here is the folder in my desktop under BM2301, under folder called Ionic projects, under subfolder called projects, Ionic projects, and then CH4 navigation. If I go in, I can check SRC folder. Under app folder, here are the files I have. Okay, under pages, I have details, favorite, list, regions, and so on. So let's try to understand some of these files and then we'll move on. So here I'm going to show you some files in this folder. So one of the main files is called app routing, app-routing.module.ts. This is inside the app folder, which is inside the SRC folder of the main folder. So here, if you go in, it says that if you are coming to this app and this is empty, means it will open straight away the favorites. Favorites here refers to pages, favorites.module. Module. And you have regions, you have two types, you have lists, you have details, you have requests. All these things are connected here. So this is called routing. You are connecting from the main page to the other pages in the app. If you move on, so that's where you will move into favorites. If you go into favorites, it also has its own routing, favorites routing. If you go to the main page there, it has to open the favorites page, which is favorites.page. We are importing here in the current folder, which means dot. Current folder means dot here, and then it also has the HTML file. So here you can see in the HTML file it has let tour of tour. So this is a for loop and it's going to create listing and then it's going to display them, okay, in the favorites. So how does it get these tours? What is that tours? This is defined inside the TypeScript file, favorites.page.ts. Move in, you will find here on init when you are initializing it. It's going to say tours ID1 title this, ID2 this. If you go on, these are the names which I'm getting from the list. If you keep my mouse over, you can see at the right corner here of the browser, it says details ID1 colon title equal to city walk and details ID2 and so on. So how do you get that details? If you go back to the page which we saw, it says details and this is the tour. It is getting from that listing. And then it's going to display tours.title because in this listing here the title is called city walk, so you get city walk and so on. So this is how it works. You can click on them, then it goes to the next page and you do a request for a tour and so on and so forth, right? So this is what you can have in these pages. Also in the favorites.page.ts, it refers to the HTML page. It also refers to the style sheet page. So now let's say you're going to create a brand new page. Okay, so if you're going to create a brand new page here, right? So what do? You go to this folder, which is users admin desktop BM2301 Ionic projects. It's easy to go through there. So what you have to do is you just need to go into your desktop and access this folder. Go in, go to the projects, just click here, and then if it doesn't appear, just click outside, click one more time, right? Click them there and then you just say Control C. If it's not selected, you can put Control A as well. Open a command prompt and then the command prompt by default, in my case, it will appear something like this, right? It will be like this. Now put CD space and right click your mouse and press enter. So you enter into this folder. Now start your command. Ionic start chapter 4 navigation. This is the name you give, side menu, space, minus, type, equal to Angular. Okay, I've actually done this. I'm not going to do it again because it's going to take some time. In my case, I gave ch4 navigation 1, right? So this is the folder here, right? So this is the one here. Let's try to run this. I'm going to say Ionic serve. Right, so it's going to open the app for us. Let's see how it goes. So once it is opening up, you can compare what is there in the original code and what is there in the completed code. So let's move in to see these folders here. Okay, so here is the navigation one. You go to SRC, you go to app. Let's now try to compare. Okay, so let's move on here. App routing. In the case of app routing, okay, here is app routing here. Reload. So it says there is a favorites here. Actually, we don't have any favorites. So let's remove it. Okay. And then once you change anything, it's going to actually reload. So let's try. So now this is the actual page here. Okay. So this is the one. You go to the blank, it goes to folder inbox. And if you have an ID after it, you'll go and open the ID page or the folder module page. Okay. So this is how it opens up, right? And then there's nothing here. So if I click inbox, you get inbox, outbox, favorites. These are what you have. This is a blank and there's no link here. So nothing opens here. This is the actual page. It does not contain what is called favorites, regions, tool types, and so on. So if you go in here, you have folders, folder name folder. And then if you go in and compare that with CH4 navigation, SRC, app, pages, this is not there. So I'm going to generate pages for you now in the new app which I've copied or which I've generated. So let's move in. Okay. So I'm going to go into CH space CH4 navigation 1. Now I'm going to generate a page. How do I generate a page? Ionic generate. You can put minus help to get the details of this. Right? This is not going to generate. So it's going to give you a help page. So you can say Ionic generate page, then say pages / favorites. Okay, this is what I'm going to create. So you can create page, you can create component, you can create service, directive, and so on. So let's enter this. Now if you see, it's going to create a folder called pages. Inside folder called pages, it will create the favorites. Okay. And it's generating the page. This is the actual command, Ionic generate page, and this is the folder over which you want to create. So let's move on here. You see the pages is generated now. Favorites is here. Similar to the favorites, we also want to create few other pages. So you can keep things shorter. You can just say Ionic G instead of writing generate, right? And then pages / let me type again. G pages / you're going to create a regions page. Okay, you're going to create tool types page, you're going to create list, details, and request pages. So let's say here pages, then you need tool types. Right, so if you go into the folder, you will see it starts creating the necessary folders here. So tool types is created. Let's go and create the list folder. And then you create the details and the request. Make sure you are in the right folder, right? Because things are going to be created in that folder from there. Don't go into the SRC app and run the command from there. You have to run from the main one. So here you have, that's it. So I've generated all the pages here. So what happens here? These commands which I've issued creates a folder called pages. Right, you have a pages, inside it has created all the necessary pages. Also, if you go back and open up this one here, right, this is updated now. You see the app routing is updated. So if you go in, it has the favorite, it has the regions, it has the tool types, it has the list, it has details, requests, whatever we have created now is done. So now let us go and do some cleanup in this code here. So go here. We actually don't need the folders folder, right? So you can just go and delete this folder. I'm going to remove the folders folder inside SRC app. So once you have deleted, there is one thing missing here. You have deleted the folder, but this is not corrected, correct? So this is not at all corrected. So you have to go into app routing module.ts and you need to remove some of these lines. So remove this line first. Okay, so this is one thing you need to do. And the redirect here, it is actually redirecting to the folder inbox, which we don't have. So we want to redirect it to favorites here, because when you start the page, we want it to go to the favorites. So if you go back here, let's try to reload it here. Okay, it still has inboxes, but then you will see the link is going to favorites. Okay, it has inbox, but it is going to favorites. When I load, it goes to favorites. So now let us go back. We need to do some few more things. Right, so the redirect is done to favorites, and then let's go into this folder here, which is called, under app, you have app components.ts. Let's open this one here. So I'm going to open it up, app components. So here is where we need to make some changes, because here it says menu, inbox, favorite, and so on, which is not what we want. We want something else. So let's try to compare with what we have in the actually completed code. Okay, so you will see here it says app pages title and so on. So let's copy this part of the code. Okay, I'm just going to copy this, and we are not using any labels here, so I'm going to comment the labels line. So go here, just copy paste it here. Right, what really happens is, you can see it was initially something else. We just change it to favorite. So once you have done, once you have saved it here, it says there are some issues here. Okay, you get some errors, like for example at A of app pages. So you see it has an error in component.html page. We have only corrected the component.ts. We did not correct the component.html. So let's move in and open app.component.html. Here is a problem, because you are trying to open up something which does not exist as of now. So let's go back to the original code and compare. Okay, so here is the original one, here is the modified one, correct? This is the modified, this is the new one, this is the completed one. So here you see under inbox, you say inbox, and then you have some of this, and the error, if you go back and check the error, so it says line number 9, app pages does not exist on type component. Okay, so it's trying to get app pages, but that is not there. All right, so let's go back. This is the new one, this is the old one. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this over this. Okay, let's see what happens. So again, that is the same problem, right? It says that TS constructor method was not expected. So let's go back here. Right, let's go back. This is the code here. Yes, so if you see, let's try to copy the original code. No, this is the original code. So copy this one, paste it over the new one here, save it, and see what happens. Now this is done. You see it has favorite, it has region, it has text. So you need to understand, you might get some of these errors. So try to understand the errors here, okay? So if you see, this is what it had. When I save it, you get some error, okay? And you can compare what is the difference between this one, which is a completed version. So let's try to move it out, right? This is a separate one. And here is the newly generated, right? So you will see there should be something like you have this app pages here, but that is not defined here. So that is a problem. There is a mistake here. When I copied, I missed. There is a closing for the list, but the opening is not there. So this line is not there. That is why it was giving error on the app pages. So when I put it here and then save it, go back to the browser, the new one should work. But then there is nothing inside favorites, nothing inside regions, nothing there. So this is the basic setup. So you can do that. Now we need to see what about going into the favorites, going into the others as well. So let's try to settle the favorites page. Okay, let's go back to our code. Let me close some of these files here. By the way, all the completed codes will be given to you for you to refer. Okay, so let's close everything here. So right now we have worked on the components, worked on the routing files. These two has been done. So the routing is done. The app is working fine right now. let's try to open up under favorites folder from both the old one and the new one. Under favorites, right? Let's move in and open up the HTML page and compare between what is the completed one, what is the new one. So this is the completed one. Okay, let's go to the new one here. Under pages, under favorites, you have the favorites here. So it says favorites. There's no menu here. There's no listing like this, right? So I'm just going to copy the whole thing, right? You can copy the whole thing, or you can just go face by face, right? You can just say, okay, I'm going to have only this part here if I want to have only the listing. So let's start a few things at a time. Okay, so let's see here. You have the favorites is there. There's nothing much needed, right? Let's say we're going to have a button here. Okay, so let's me go on, copy this, and this is under content. So we are under content. Okay, so let's see here. So remember, these are comments in HTML, so I just need to remove the comments. Okay, save here. So you can live code and then check. See, there's a show details. There's a button coming up. Once I have it, this is a button, right? So if I click this, it will bring the details page. Okay, so you can take what you need, you can change accordingly, but there's no listing here. I don't want a listing. I don't need this. I need the listing here. Okay, so how to get your listing right now? To get to that listing, this is the listing here. So let's go back, and remember, I'm keeping it outside the header, It's not inside the header. So save it here. It says there's an error here because it doesn't know what is called as tools, right? It has no idea what is tools. You see, property tools does not exist. When you get such errors, you just need to go in and check favorites.page.ts here. You see, there's nothing defined here. But let's open up the favorites.page.ts from the completed code. You will see there is a tools defined here. So let's go back to the same page, and then you just have to define the tools here. Okay, so you are defining tools, save it, go back and check what happens. Now it is there, right? You can click, but there's nothing here. So if I click here, I get something here which is not there, right? So there is a difference in the details page. Let's try to do the details page now. We are going step by step. You just need to know how things are connected here. Okay, so you can check. If you go to regions, there's nothing here. If you go to regions, there's nothing. 2 types, there's nothing here. 2 types, nothing, right? You can also update them. So but I'm just going to leave them as they are right now, right? So you have seen what is show details. You have seen the router link. We are now working on the router link for us. Okay, so let's go back here. So you will see favorite.html. This is the router link. You are getting a link. We have also seen how to put a button, right? You can do that. So these are few options. Let's go back and check the favorite.page.ts. What else you have it here? This is from the new one. This is the old one, correct? And there's nothing much here. And then let's do a few things. Let's go to the details page. Okay, let's go here. Let's go to the details page. Let's try to compare details.page and details.page.ts, right? This is the details page from the completed app. Let's go and check it from the new one, details page, right? And details.page.ts. This is the one. So if you see, I'm looking at the top to know what folder I'm accessing. So this is TH4 navigation. You see, it is much more detailed. It's using what is called activator root. You're passing some parameters here because the actual tools is present in the favorites page, right? So here, if you go back to the app here, it is here. When I click, I need to pass this to the details page. Here, when I click here, I have to pass this. This is not being passed, okay? So to do that, here are a few things. It's going to the details page. It's opening the details page, which is this page here, which is this page here. So here, if you see, it just says, this is in the new one, it says details. Here it says tour.title. So let's try to copy this, only the header, and then let's replace the header with the tours.title. Okay, we are doing this. So now going back, see, it says there's a problem because it doesn't know what's called tour. Tour is not being passed to the details page. It doesn't know. You're not passing the tours yet. So if you go down to the details.page.html, right, here again it's a route link. Okay, let's leave that one. So if you go to the TS page, you are actually passing the tours here. Okay, so if you go to, this is the tours page, this is the completed tours page. There's a lot of difference between them, right? So what's happening here? Let's try to understand this code here. We are using what is called activated route. This is going to help us to pass the path or pass the elements between different pages, right? Initially, we assign it to null. We create something called tour. We assign it to null. And here in the constructor, you are passing the activated route. And then you are saying this dot tour. This refers to this details page, right? Dot tour, you say this dot activated route dot snapshot dot parameters. Whatever is being passed, it's passed here. Let's try to just copy paste it here. Okay, I'm going to intentionally make some mistakes later on to show you how to correct them. So let's save this, right? So coming in, it gives me some more errors, right? It says detail page is listed in the ng module, but it's not a directive or a component, and so on. So error is in the details.module.ts page. Okay, see, it says activated route, but it is not defined anyway, or it's not imported properly. Okay, let's go back. Let's try to settle things here first. So this is one thing which is missing. So I can go back here. This was not imported. So it doesn't know what is called activated route because we are using activated route here, but it's not imported. So when I import, so that error is gone. Now I can click this. You see the city walk has come, right? So it's something we have gone to this level. Okay, but not the tour. The requested tour is not there. Right, so that part has not appeared yet. Okay, so you can see here what happens right now. The request tour comes actually from this link here. There's a button. Okay, we have a button here. So it is in the HTML page outside the header, not inside the header, outside the header. So if I do it now, I click here, click this, and then you have the same structure here, right? These are few things you could do. So simply you got to understand few things here. So let's say I make some few mistakes like number one, if I comment this, okay, you can do live corrections. You will see it will give you error. You see tour does not exist in details page, right? It just says this details.page.html and it says this dot tour does not exist. Simply when you have a tour in here, this dot tour refers to a tour variable here. You must declare it first before using it. Okay, you must. So I need to declare it. So let's say I'm going to declare it just like this. Okay, is it going to work? No, still says it doesn't know what type it is. Implicitly has a type any. So I'm going to say like this. So like any. Okay, if I do this now, it should work, but sometime in the later it might give you trouble. So we normally initialize it to null. Okay, so if you try to initialize like this, for example, okay, so you can check what happens if I do that, right? Just watch out with these elements and then see what could be done. Okay, so this is what number two. This is not needed. It's just showing you a console. So if I go to the developer options, you go to more tools, you have the developer options, or you can press Ctrl+Shift+I. So you keep it here. I go back here, and then if I just go back, you see it will print for me what's going on. I click this, it's going to print, right? This is mainly coming from what is called console.log. You can save it, right? You will see what happens. Generally you should use console log to debug your code. Okay, but otherwise it's not necessary, just to check whether things are going correctly or not. So this is the snapshot.params. It's actually reading these parameters here. I'm passing them, right? So this is the details page. This is the HTML. Remember, there's a header here. You really don't need the header. You can remove it and see what happens. Okay, so click. This is the details page. Nothing happens here, right? and then you can see this is the button which we have. If you go and change the button, things will change, right? The link is towards request, so it's going to call the request. How does it go to request? Because you already linked the request in the routing page. Request goes to what? Okay, so if I open up the app routing, so if I go into routing, it says here request means what? Where do I go, right? So these are the links you need to understand. This is what is called navigation, and activator root is a property, has a property named snapshot with params property, right? So we are going to read the params from the snapshot in the activator root. That's what we are doing, where you can read these elements here. Okay, so if you see a little bit more detail, which is the details.page.html. Okay, here you are passing the title here, right? So if I go back, this is the actual one, right? You are passing some of these elements. You can read it, you can access it. So you can see here details.page.ts. You are just passing the parameters here. Okay, you can pass many other parameters and you can read them as well. I hope this is clear. So you might have some other errors. Sometimes you might have the capacitor is not installed, the capacitor is not present. Then in that case, you need to issue a command called npm install, like this. Okay, you might need to install some of the common errors. Npm install add capacitor / green. You might need to import some of this. It depends on versions of your node and npm. I hope it's clear. Just practice over and let you know what is called navigation in Android app or an app, Ionic app. Thank you.